am DS, your psychologist, and welcome to another episode on NITT. So I have an INFJ viewer. She knows that I really like INTJs. She asked me how come I like INTJs so much, because the INTJs she knows are very difficult to deal with. She doesn't really have good relationships with INTJs. So at first I thought, it must be because of dynamics. Some MBTI types really don't like ENTJs, so it could have been the dynamics. So it is possible that the INTJs do not gel well with INFJs. Until I found an irritating INTJ myself. So now I can understand, perhaps there are really INTJs that are quite difficult to deal with. You know, sometimes the universe really have a way of telling you that this is the right time to do such a video. Why? Because I have new classes, and somehow or the other, the new classes are filled with students of the ENTP and the INTP type. This used to be a type that I don't really like. However, the ENTP and INTP students are really fabulous and fantastic. So I have a shock, because I usually thought that INTPs are very antagonistic, but this class of INTPs and ENTPs and ENFPs seem to be a very nice class. But I've only taught them for 5 lessons so far But my experience so far was very good. So I am beginning to think, is there a possibility that I am wrong? So back to the irritating INTJ that I am talking about first. So this INTJ got very triggered by one of my comments and started to bite me. So this INTJ associate was really passionate and believes very strongly in a particular topic, which I said something negative about, and he started to bite me. We had a few exchanges of emails. Nothing grew out of it, full of animosity. Personally, I gather that this INTJ is really full of himself, does not see his own shortcomings, is rather biased, which is very surprising because I thought that INTJs are not like that. In fact, this INTJ is behaving very much like an ISFP. The only difference is, I think ISFPs, they just rant about anything that they want. So there is no filter. This INTJ is different, really an INTJ. Why? Because I triggered this INTJ to burst by saying something that this INTJ does not agree with. Of course, we are all entitled to our own opinions. But this INTJ is so passionate, kept saying things, and somehow it just blew out of proportions. There were a lot of personal comments, personal opinions, very uncalled for. One thing to note though, this INTJ that I'm talking about is still rather young. He is in the mid-20s, so he refuses to back down, seems to have an extraordinary high need for power, always wants to win. But I believe that over time, as this INTJ matures, he may become a more typical type of INTJ. So I've been thinking about this, so I thought that one of the possible explanations for this is that the INTJs that I liked are of the assertive type. This INTJ is a turbulent INTJ. So if you Google, the MBTI can actually have a 5th dimension known as the assertive and the turbulent. The assertive individuals are very self-assured and resistant to change. On the other hand, the turbulent individual is one who is driven by success, very motivated to improve, and sometimes prone to stress because this individual tends to be a perfectionist. Okay. So I would say that if you are an ENTJ, for example, then you will always be an ENTJ. Looking back in my past, in my younger days, I think I am an ENTJ turbulent. Now, I am definitely an ENTJ assertive. So we do grow along the way. But enough said, if you are an ENTJ, you are always an ENTJ. You could have been an ENTJ turbulent in the past, and then you evolve to be an ENTJ assertive. You are always still an ENTJ. This is because your MBTI type is determined by your cognitive functions. Your cognitive functions do not change. Your brain is wired to think in a particular way. So the INFJ viewer who didn't like the INTJs that she has met probably may have met some INTJ turbulence. However, this does not explain one thing. I have INTPs that I know that I do not like, and I think that they are INTP assertives. So the INTPs that I do not like are already very well established in the industry. They think very highly of themselves and they are really self-assured. I also have INTP friends that I quite like, but I will also classify them as assertive. They are the lepak type, like chill. I can do whatever I want, I just know myself very well. I am no longer worried, no longer stressed.
I'm always willing to learn when you've got something to teach.
So there is a little problem over here. Do I like the assertive type or the turbulent type? It's very hard to tell because for the INTPs, I have friends who are both assertive types, but yet this type I don't like, but the other type I like. I'm okay lah, not say I like. So how then do we distinguish? So I have come up with my own terminology. In fact, you will realize that ENTJs and INTJs really like to come up with theories. So now I have a new theory. And what is this theory? So let's use the INTJ as an example. Based on what I have usually discussed, this is the cognitive stack of the INTJ, and this percentages over here represent the normal allocation of an INTJ to each of these cognitive functions. Each cognitive pair should add up to 100%. So this is the type that I really liked. However, the INTJ that I have described earlier may have such a distribution. So in his case, more resources have been allocated to FI, which is a really subjective function. And at times, he might even be mistaken for an ISFP. So as individuals, we all have different allocation to our cognitive functions. And even though we are of the same MBTI type, we can really be different because our allocation to the cognitive functions are really different. So as an ENTJ myself, this is my allocation. I am really a very heavy TE and NR user. Of course, another ENTJ might have a higher distribution for SE and FI. So I'm going to call those individuals who have a much higher allocation to their two main functions, the dominant function and the auxiliary function, type 1 individuals. So I am a type 1 individual. I really spend a lot of resources on my dominant and auxiliary function. On the other hand, type 2 individuals will be those who have a more even distribution, something like this. So an INTJ who is a type 2, regardless of whether you are turbulent or assertive, tends to have a high FI. So the INTJ with high FI may have very high moral values or some personal values, and they might bite at you if you step on their toes, and only if you step on their toes. And once this happens, it is going to go out of proportion. So rather than saying I really like INTJ assertives and I don't really like INTJ turbulence, it need not be the case. It could have been that I like type 1 INTJs as opposed to type 2 INTJs. Why do I say this? Because I find that this theory of mine is better able to explain the INTP theories. Why I like some INTPs and not other INTPs. Because TI is something that I don't like, so definitely I am not going to like type 1 INTPs because they have invested so much of their resources to TI, N and E. Conversely, I have realized that those INTPs that I am actually more okay with have more resources allocated to the lower functions. As a general rule now, I really like younger INTPs and younger ENTPs. Why? Because as they are younger, they are probably going to sort out and explore the ways they want to allocate their resources. So all the 4 cognitive functions may have a more or less even distribution, so they are more balanced. The TI is not as strong, the NE is not as strong, but it's still there. So I would say that as an ENTJ, if you are a P-type individual, I would definitely like you more if you are type 2. On the other hand, if you are a J-type individual, then I would definitely like you more if you are a type 1. This is because as an ENTJ, I really prefer superego functions. So I really hope you understand this video. If you understand my theory and you agree with it, or even if you disagree with it, do comment below. Or if you know of something that I am saying that already has a backing, do tell me as well because I didn't check. So if nobody says anything, then I will just conveniently say type 1, type 2 in the future. Okay, I hope that you have enjoyed this video. For the new viewers and the existing viewers, really thank you for your support so far. I really enjoy your comments and they really mean a lot to me. It is like interaction. It's like, I'm doing a video and someone is reciprocating. It's a very nice feeling. Thank you very much. So for new viewers, if you have not subscribed, do consider subscribing so that we can bring you more MBTI. Okay, I'm going to sign off now and I'll see you in my next episode. Goodbye!